Welcome back, guys. Or if you're new to my channel, this is Automotive Anonymous, and that's the long-awaited 2025 Mazda CX-50 Hybrid. More specifically though, this one is in a color called Ingot Blue, which looks really good in person, and it's a premium trim level, but more importantly, this has the exact same powertrain as my Toyota RAV4 Hybrid. So today I get to share the good, the bad, and the ugly of this all-new Mazda CX-50 Hybrid to help you guys at home decide, what do you do with it? Do you buy it or do you leave it at the lot and look at the other compact crossover competition? So today you can expect to see a walk around, all the specs, initial driving impressions, 0 to 60 on GPS, and then my final thoughts. And huge thanks to Goody Motor Mazda for letting me borrow this one for the day. I'm going to link them below if you're interested because they sell below MSRP. They ship all over the country. And with that said, let's dive right into this review. And if you like Mazda, the CX-50 Hybrid, or my video, please be so kind to consider liking my video. Basically, that lets me know you want to watch more stuff like this. It also helps the video get shared, and it helps you by having YouTube choose to show you more stuff like this. Thank you, guys. But if you're new to Mazda, or more specifically the Mazda CX-50, you really need to know that this model first came out with its brand new generation in 2023. So the first year in the United States market, it sold around 20,000 units, just slowly gaining traction. The second year was 40,000 units. And as we're at the very end in December of 2024, I'm sure this vehicle has probably doubled its units once again. So it's really gaining a lot of traction. It's gaining a lot of momentum. It's one of the best looking compact crossovers that you can currently buy. And there's really no reason, no surprise why this is doing so well and why Mazda decided to give it another powertrain. These are actually assembled in Alabama. Unlike the CX-5 that's assembled in Japan, this shares a plant with Toyota. So it's really no surprise why after a couple of years, you start to share ideas. You start to share powertrains apparently, and this is now the same powertrain as the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid. So it has a 2.5 liter Atkinson cycle engine, has a couple electric motors, a battery pack hidden under the seat, and it's going to get about 10 miles per gallon better than any CX-50 has ever gone before. But more than that, this is still a top safety pick. It still has adaptive cruise control, still has really bright LEDs. Being the premium, it offers a lot of creature comforts, a lot of really fancy bits on the interior, and there are seriously so many ways that you can spec your CX-50. Whether you go turbo, which is a little bit faster than this, non-turbo, which is a little bit cheaper than this, or you want the hybrid, these start at around $34,000. They top out at probably a little bit over $40,000. There's currently 3 trim levels, and this premium is about a $39,000 vehicle. But there are a few things that we need to talk about off script real quick. First of all, this Ingot Blue color does look really good, but what's up with all this cladding? It does mask it pretty good, but there's a lot of cladding on this vehicle, especially where this has, in some cases, pretty big wheels, pretty luxurious features. It looks like it's an off-road focused vehicle. Personally, I'd rather have less cladding and more Ingot Blue paint. And then why is there a random chrome accent? I mean, it doesn't look out of place, it does look pretty good, but the rest of this vehicle, minus the hybrid badge, it's all black and blue. But then there's 2 random chrome accents. There's no chrome on the front other than the Mazda emblem. Just an observation, even the roof rails are painted black, so I'm just kind of curious why that's the theme that they went with. But you can see it does fit in a parking spot pretty good. And if you're wondering about the hybrid system, the hybrid batteries, it does have about an 8-year, 100,000-mile warranty on the batteries. And then the rest of the vehicle, the powertrain still has the 60-month, 60,000-mile warranty, and the bumper-to-bumper is the typical 36-36. But these actually drive really well around town, and they fit great in parking spots because they're only about 15.4 feet long. The wheelbase is 9 feet, so it is planted and stable on the road. They're very aggressively stanced at about 6.25 feet wide and only 5.25 feet tall. It does weigh about 4,000 pounds though, so it is a little bit chunkier, a little bit heavier than the non-hybrids. It has the typical CX-50 payload, which is 850 pounds. Definitely not class leading, but it's about average for this segment. It can tow up to 2,000 pounds if it's a non-hybrid, 1,500 pounds if it is a hybrid, which is 250 pounds less than the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid, probably because this weighs about 250 pounds more. And then it has around 8 inches of ground clearance, and it can do a full circle in about 36 feet. And then the last few things to mention out here is when the gas door is locked, which you can actually lock with the remote, the gas door stays locked, so the bumps aren't going to siphon any of your fuel. It doesn't have the button on the inside by the footwell like the Toyota does to pop the gas door open, so it's going to lock when the vehicle is locked. Otherwise, they actually copied Toyota's gas tank. It's a 14.5-gallon tank, unlike the 15.9, that's the gallon and a half large in the non-hybrid CX-50s, but still getting about 37 on the highway, 39 around town, or in my driving experience with this so far, low 30s when I'm beating on it, about 50 around town when I'm driving it very sanely. It actually can get the EPA ratings for in town, and probably on the interstate it's going to be close to what it's rated. But its max road trip and range is still over 500 miles. And then this one, being the premium, has a tire that I really like, a Goodyear, and it's a 225/65/17 with a temporary spare in the back. And then this is your typical Mazda key. So you have lock, unlock, power liftgate on this one, panic button, but just leave it in your pocket because you do have proximity key features to lock and unlock the vehicle. The driver's side door panel of this looks like all the other CX-50s, baseball stitching, soft materials. Overall, it's going to age well, it looks good, and you have the Bose speaker right there. Otherwise, the all-weather mats are not yet installed. You have rubberized pedals, you have the hood release, you have memory seats, you have traction control, your gas door button. Oops, that's the gas door button. What am I saying? So this actually, you see it live here first, folks. This has the button, it's just placed differently, and I missed that at first. So it still locks, but you have the Toyota button system, interesting. And then you have the seats, they're memory, they're heated, they feel good. They're maybe a little bit rough for the bottom part, but the back and the bolstering is good. And then you have a panoramic sunroof up top where the first half can open and slide. And then sitting inside here, it is leather wrapped, but it's not heated like some other Mazdas come with. Very ergonomically pleasing, well designed. I like the handle, I like everything about it. It's easy to find a comfortable position. Fired right up with the push button start. And if it has juice in the battery, there's no noise. The engine's on technically, or the hybrid system is ready, and you can tell that it's ready when it's all lit up purple. When it's not lit up purple, you're in the gasoline engine, which just barely kicked on. I'm actually a little bit disappointed in this system that you can't see the battery charge. You can't see where the all-wheel drive is going from the battery like you can on my Toyota RAV4, but still it's simple, it's clean, it's classy. I like the system a lot. The horn, high-pitched, kind of like the other Mazdas. Physical climate controls, you have the scrolly dial up there for the screen. You can easily control that. I actually really like this system. It's easy to use and you quickly get used to it. Also, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, they're wireless, which is fantastic. And mine worked really well when I used to have a Mazda Miata. 12-volt storage. Cup holders right here. Unfortunately, you can't fit a tall boy like a 60-ounce soda. You're gonna have to fit probably like 20-ounce bottles and below, I would assume. The backup camera, trajectory lines do not move, but clarity is really good. And because of the width of the 10-inch diagonal screen, it can't take up the full screen. That would look very distorted, but you still have a good picture. There's your EV mode button. Here are your drive modes. You have normal, sport, and trail, but there's no eco mode like you have on the RAV4. And then the rest of the buttons for the scrolly dial and your infotainment system. You have the French doors, you have the wireless charger, and you have two USB-style plugins, and you have the bottom tray for this not currently installed. Otherwise, up top, you have some LED lighting. You have the sunshade, which is powered, and the sunroof controls. And then you have a spot for your sunglasses. Otherwise, you have an extension piece on this and LED lighting, which is pretty cool. With that said, let's turn it off and we'll hop in the back. Today, I'm going to hop in the passenger side because you'll see the reason why in just a moment. But look at that huge fender. That extra 6 inches on each side is what gives this such a great stance. But when we hop inside, you'll notice, you know, this is a compact crossover. There's not a ton of room. You can see the vents for the battery under there, so make sure you don't block that with stuff. Otherwise, the door panel is really nice. You actually have some pretty decent storage down there. You have the handle in the back, and you can be a backseat driver on the passenger side with your map pocket. This is the seat. It lays relatively flat, slightly inclined, but we have some goodies back here. So right now, the seat actually can't be up with the door closed, the hatch closed, because we just won't fit. Because compact crossovers have to make some sacrifices. Overall, though, this is pretty comfortable. There's room, there's vents, there's more USB-C style plugins. And can I recline the seat? I don't see a handle down here. I don't know. This doesn't seem to be engaging anywhere, so maybe I can't do that. But let's hop out and I'll show you the hatch. The back of the CX-50 I actually think looks pretty good. Ingot blue kind of masks some of the fake ventilation back there. I'm not sure why they have that. Maybe just to fill in the gap, because I'm sure just painted would look kind of strange. But it looks kind of like a frowny face. There's the nose, there's the eyes, and there's the stern frown right there. And there's the black cladding coming right up to the bumper. But there's a few different ways to get into the back of this. You can either climb through the back seats, push the button that's on the dashboard, push the button that's underneath the Mazda emblem, or use the remote. The power liftgate does a really good job, and it activates pretty quietly actually. Back here you have about 31 cubic feet of room when the back seats are up, but when you drop them both, you have about 56. So 31 is pretty good, but not class leading for a compact crossover. The 56 is almost subcompact crossover territory. And then you have the temporary spare tire, the Bose speakers down there. You also have some levers to drop the seats, which is pretty handy. You have some grocery bag tie downs, which are actually really useful, an LED light, and then a privacy shade. So it's pretty similar to a lot of the other compact crossovers, and you have pretty good options. Not a huge bumper, it's easy to lift and lower things in. And if you just want to use the physical buttons to lock and lower, or just to lower, they're not too high up, so it's not too difficult to reach. But if you're the lucky duck who gets to ride shotgun, your door panel, yeah, basically looks like all the other CX-5s as well. Powered seats, remember these are heated, so my backpack on this 30-degree day is having a phenomenal time. Nothing over here for storage, nothing above here for storage. More baseball stitching, ventilation actually looks really good though. And then in the glove box, you have some papers, some pamphlets, 2-level tray, but no 12 volts or anything like you can find on some other vehicles like the Subaru Outback. So with that said, let's come around to the front. I'm gonna pop the hood and I'll show you guys what the hybrid Toyota powertrain actually looks like. All right, so there's a lot to talk about. Under the hood is a peak 219 horsepower. The torque figure is not rated. This has a couple electric motors in the front, one in the back. The one in the back makes this the all-wheel drive system. So at no point is this front-wheel drive transversely mounted engine actually connected to the back wheels like it is on the non-hybrid CX-50. You can see some of the electronic components. You have the fuse box, the air induction, the intake side with the intake manifold. Back here you have the exhaust manifold side. You have your reservoirs throughout. You're not going to have a top-mount oil filter like you do on a Subaru, but that's going to be hidden down below. And then because this is a hybrid Toyota, no serpentine belt, no starter, no alternator. It has an electronic AC compressor, and one of the coolest things about that is if you do take this car camping, it only has to idle about a quarter of the time because it charges up the battery. It helps the electric AC compressor work that way, so you're not idling all night long like you would be in another vehicle. So with that said, let's strap the hood and we'll take this thing for a drive. Initial driving impressions of the Mazda CX-50 Hybrid. First of all, let's get up to speed with half throttle. Yeah, it does pretty good to get us up to highway speeds. Overall, this vehicle driving portion is going to be mostly focused on this vehicle specifically. There is going to be a longer driving impressions video, 8 to 10 minutes. That's going to compare quite a bit more to the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid, which I personally own. So this video, this focus, let's get right into it. Visibility, it's okay. I do wish the side mirrors were bigger because they're very sporty shaped. They're very narrow at the most outer tip, and there's just not as good of visibility as I would like. That thing kind of follows the inside of the cabin too. These windows might look decent on camera. There is a lot of natural light that comes in through the panoramic sunroof, but the windows are not as big as I wish they were. Forward-facing visibility is pretty good too. The hood seems to be pretty much parallel to the ground. It doesn't slope down as much as it does on some other compact crossovers. I do like that the screen is out of your sight, out of mind for most of the time. It's not a focus, and it's not going to age poorly. But now we gotta talk about the good stuff, how this handles. As a crossover, Mazdas handle really good. Their steering is quite well tuned to be fairly heavy, to be fairly fun, and they're not gonna be jostled around by every little bump in the road like some other vehicles are. This actually feels pretty straight. It goes pretty straight down the road even when I do silly stuff like that. And I like that, so if you accidentally nudge it, you're not gonna be going out of your lane that easily. It absorbs bumps and ruts in the road pretty well. There's various wheel sizes you can get on the CX-50. I don't think unless you're off-roading, driving through a farm field like that, you're really gonna notice the difference between a 17 to say a 19-inch wheel. The suspension is a little bit on the firm side, which is the sporty theme of this, but it feels really good. The speakers also being Bose, they sound great. Having leather seats, having the heated function of this, where Mazdas are probably the hottest seats in the class. It's just overall a very nice vehicle to drive. This is a smaller compact crossover. There's maybe not as much room back there as there are in some other vehicles, but this is a good one and I like it a lot. Maybe the only thing that I don't love about the inside is the seats, at least on my build. They're not the most soft and comfortable, but I'm sure they would, you know, kind of break in a little bit with a few thousand miles. But overall, this is a really fun vehicle to drive. It definitely feels like you're compromising a tiny bit of the practicality for this one to enjoy some of the benefits of driving something that's not just a boring jelly bean down the road. This is fun. This is sporty. I guess the only other downside with the hybrid system, you lose Mazda's really good all-wheel drive system that has a physical drive shaft connecting the engine to the rear wheels, and now you just have kind of a wimpy 50 horsepower motor in the back. But I mean, it's still all-wheel drive. If you don't need this to be your winter vehicle, or you don't live in a wintry, climatey state, and you can get 10 mpg better with this one, I think you're going to be a lot happier in the long run. But just keep that in mind. The trade-off of good mpg is a less competent all-wheel drive system. But anyways, let me get to the private road so we can do a 0 to 60. 0 to 60 in the CX-50 Hybrid. Density altitude's 2,500 feet, so the gas portion of this power plant is down on power, 7 or 8%. We're going to do a brake rev. It is in sport mode. Traction is off. Let's see what it can do. True 0 to 60 came in at 8.63 seconds this morning. My final thoughts of the 2025 Mazda CX-50 Hybrid is it was worth the wait. This was really cool to finally drive a wide-bodied compact crossover like the Mazda CX-50 that actually can get over 26 miles per gallon. This is really cool, driving it around town, being able to hit up to 50 going, you know, 5, 6, 7 miles. That's really fun, just like how fun it is in my Toyota. I think this is overdue. I think this hybrid system is really good. Really, the thing that I'm disappointed in is just that you lose Mazda's well-developed all-wheel drive system if you do go with the hybrid route. But not everyone lives in a snowy, weathery state like I do. Not everyone needs it. And for a lot of people, probably half the population who buys this, this is going to be the better option for you. You might not want a Mazda technician working on your Toyota powertrain, but these powertrains really don't need much work. The CVT is planetary gears. It's probably as or more reliable than any Mazda transmission to begin with. The engine has port and direct injection. It's not likely to get built up with carbon. It's not likely to have weird, unusual engine failures. It also doesn't have as many moving components as a traditional gas-powered engine. So this is a really good vehicle. If you want all the information on this, check out the driving video that will be posted very soon. Check out the comparison, the side-by-side video with this and my own Toyota RAV4. And if you got anything out of this video, please consider liking it. Comment your thoughts and opinions below. Subscribe if you haven't already. And with that said, I wish you guys the best. I hope you take care. And until next time, see ya.